as the preeminent military force. With over 1.4 million active duty personnel deployed worldwide, they are present in every hotspot on the planet, comprising more than 42% of the total global defense budget. That is none other than the U.S. military, a professional and formidable force, instilling fear in any nation. Yet this military force also possesses interesting aspects that you might not be aware of. The U.S. military, or the American Armed Forces, is a composite, unified military force of the United States. These forces include the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, and the Space Force. The United States has a strong tradition of civilian control over the military, meaning the president serves as the overall military leader. The U.S. Department of Defense, meanwhile, functions as an agency, responsible for the implementation of military policies, led by the U.S. Secretary of Defense, who is also a civilian and a member of the U.S. Cabinet. All 5 branches of the United States military fall under the command of the Department of Defense, except for the U.S. Coast Guard, which was placed under the Department of Homeland Security in 2003, following a government reorganization. This followed the events of the 9/11's terrorist attacks. However, the U.S. Coast Guard may be transferred to the Department of the Navy by presidential or congressional order during times of war. The military of the Land of the Stars and Stripes is one of the largest in terms of personnel. With approximately 1.4 million active duty personnel and over 800,000 reserve troops, the majority of this military's manpower comes from volunteers. Although conscription policies were utilized in the past, during both wartime and peacetime, these policies were used, but they ceased to be applicable since 1972. As of 2010, the United States spent approximately $692 billion annually to fund its military forces, more than any other country in the world. The U.S. Armed Forces possess an exceptionally large and technologically advanced arsenal, enabling them to have significant capabilities in both defense and offense. This, in turn, creates a distinction that few, if any, other nations can match. Alongside its immense strength and capability are intriguing and unique stories that may not be widely known. Firstly, the U.S. military possesses the only supercarrier in the world with a nuclear-powered displacement over 100,000 tons, the USS Gerald R. Ford, designated CVN-78, is the largest aircraft carrier in the U.S. fleet. It boasts a length of 333 meters, a staggering width of 77 meters, and a colossal displacement of 100,000 tons. The control tower reaches a height of 76 meters, housing 2 A-1B nuclear reactors at its core, similar to other nuclear reactors for the U.S. Navy. The A-1B utilizes a fuel mixture of 15% zirconium and 85% enriched uranium, with the uranium enriched up to 93.5%. Using highly enriched uranium for increased power, it reduces logistical burdens and maintenance. The steam is converted into energy by channeling it to 4 main propulsion turbines to generate power for ship systems and electronic propulsion. While this supercarrier boasts colossal dimensions, it maintains a relatively high average speed of approximately 56 kilometers per hour, unrestricted in operational range. It is likened to a miniature floating city beneath the ocean. With massive proportions, the Ford can carry a maximum of 90 various military aircraft along with a weapons system. It is equipped with 2 launchers for anti-ship missiles RIM 1162, 2 launchers for short-range missiles RIM 116, 3 phalanx CIWS automated cannons, and 4 M22 7.7mm machine guns. This giant is also recognized as the world record holder for ship operating costs. The construction and testing of this iconic symbol of the U.S. Navy have led to a defense budget expenditure of nearly $13 billion for the United States. The aircraft carrier is equipped with new and advanced technologies, including nearly triple the electrical power compared to Nimitz-class carriers, and the electromagnetic aircraft launch system EMLS. The EMLS system uses electric energy to launch aircraft from the carrier, replacing the previous steam catapult system. Additionally, the carrier is equipped with an integrated radar system. An advanced electronically scanned array AESA system aids in detecting and tracking potential threats. The primary sensor system on the carrier is the dual-band radar DBR suite, which includes the multifunction X-band radar X and SPI-3 and the S-band radar X and SPI-4. Electromagnetic catapults are utilized in the advanced AUG aircraft handling current system on the previous Nimitz-class carriers. Relies on a hydraulic mechanism to slow down and stop landing aircraft. This method, when applied to unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV landing can damage their landing gear due to the immense pressure on the aircraft frame. By using electromagnetics, the energy absorption is controlled by a turbo-electric engine. This makes the aircraft landing smoother and reduces shock on the aircraft. Although on the surface, the catapults on AUG carriers may appear similar to the old hydraulic system, they are more flexible, safe, reliable, and require less maintenance. Moreover, the Gerald R. Ford also features an onboard comprising hospital, standard laboratories, a pharmacy, operating rooms, a 3-bed intensive care unit, a 2-bed emergency room, and a 41-bed hospital ward, managed by 11 medical officers and 30 medical personnel. The Gerald R. Ford and other carriers in this class are expected to serve for 50 years and can adapt to modernize the equipment of the U.S. Navy in the future. The U.S. military believes that the flexibility of the Ford-class carriers, such as the modular design of various spaces on the ship, is an adaptive asset to future developments. It will help the Ford keep pace with new technological advancements and changes in the evolving combat environment. With its colossal size and returns to the main content. Returning to the main content. Aside from possessing a supercarrier, the U.S. military is also a rare armed force, with the highest number of former presidents who have served in the military. Specifically, among the 44 individuals who have held the position of U.S. president, a total of 31 have served in the military. While this is not a mandatory requirement, the most notable mention is George Washington. He is considered the first commander of the Continental Army before becoming president. Or even Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th president, received the Medal of Honor for his significant achievements in the Battle of San Juan Hill in 1898. George Bush, the 41st president, received the Distinguished Flying Cross for his contributions in World War II. At that time, he was a pilot of TBS Avengers torpedo bombers. During this time, military service was almost a prerequisite for many U.S. politicians and presidents during and after World War II. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, with 2 terms from 1953 to 1961, served as the supreme commander of Allied forces in Europe during the most intense conflict on the planet. He also gave the order for Overlord more than 75 years ago, the historic D-Day landing that reversed the tide of the war. He helped end the Korean War from 1950 to 1953, shortly after taking office. However, there are also presidents who come from an economic background or have never served in the military. President Trump is an example, as he spoke out against the Vietnam War, even though he was eligible and fit for military service, even when becoming the most powerful person in the United States. During the June 6, 2019 event, marking the 75th anniversary of the Allied invasion of Normandy, President Donald Trump made unapologetic remarks about avoiding military service during the Vietnam War, because he was not a fan of a war that was widely protested around the world. I'll be honest with you, I was never a fan of that war. I thought it was a terrible war, and it's very far away. Additionally, other presidents like Bill Clinton and Barack Obama never served in the military. Finally, with such examples of those who have served in the military, the armed forces here are not only strong in terms of power, but also always have a top-notch intellectual workforce. It is noted that, if you want to do any job in the military, you will always have the assistance of an expert. According to a 2015 report from the Pentagon, the U.S. military has 264,890 experts in various fields, with many holding degrees from bachelor's to PhD, constituting over a quarter of the total force. Experts mainly work in the field of equipment maintenance and weapon maintenance. With a team of highly qualified specialists, the U.S. military becomes a force with the best maintenance team in the world. However, military experts are not considered officers or non-commissioned officers. The maintenance of a high-quality workforce has helped the U.S. military maintain both strength and discipline over the years. In addition, it is also a rare armed force that is older than its own nation. It can be said that since its founding, the military has played a decisive role in the history of the United States, shaping the nation and fostering unity through victories, such as the Barbary Pirate Wars, as well as the War of 1812. Despite that, the founders of the United States still had suspicions about a standing military force, due to the fear that a dictator might use the military to manipulate the country. Until World War II erupted, a large and modern military was officially established. The United States officially declared independence on July 4, 1776. However, its military was formed in 1775. There is also much evidence that before the military was established, the Native Americans organized a militia, but without an organized structure or unified command orders. In the spring of 1775, most of these forces wanted to resist the British in Boston, but they realized that they needed to establish a unified command structure to oppose the enemy. By June 14, 1775, the Continental Congress passed a resolution establishing the Continental Army, marking the birth of the Army. On June 15th, George Washington was appointed as the commander-in-chief of the new army, leading the American Revolution. After many years of formation and continuous development, until now, the U.S. military has about 158 bases worldwide, not including undisclosed locations. Domestic defense facilities own about 62,159 square kilometers of land, 86 times the area of Singapore with 716 square kilometers. These large facilities allow the military to carry out various activities without affecting civilians. Especially bases located in remote areas allow the Pentagon to conduct secret tests, avoiding the curious eyes of foreign intelligence. An example is Area 51. Along with the supercarrier project of 100,000 costing over $13 billion. Annually, the U.S. military still allocates a huge defense budget for the development and production of various weapons and equipment. Evidence shows that they are leading the way in owning unique and expensive weapons that seemingly no other country can match. Among them, a few notable examples include the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. This is a stealth aircraft different from its competitors, not only because of its advanced defense systems, but also due to its excessively high production costs. It costs over $1 billion US, not including the equipment on the aircraft. Meanwhile, Americans have spent a similar amount to build a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser. Furthermore, the B-2 Spirit is very expensive to operate and maintain. For example, to maintain its stealth coating, the B-2 needs to be stored in a specialized hangar. Otherwise, the quality of the radar-absorbing coating on the aircraft may deteriorate under normal conditions. Currently, the U.S. Air Force has 20 B-2 Spirit bombers. But the Pentagon is planning to retire the B-2 Spirit bomber before 2030, even though this type of aircraft is considered highly effective in combat. The successor to the B-2 Spirit is said to be an improved strategic bomber, the B-52 Stratofortress. The most expensive nuclear weapon in recent times is the new MXB-6112 bomb from the United States. This is not a weapon created from scratch, but rather a version of the B-61 bomb model from 1963 that is already in the U.S. arsenal. The total cost of the improvement program for about 500 outdated nuclear bombs is estimated to exceed $11 billion. Thus, the cost of each new bomb reaches nearly $23 million after the upgrade. After the upgrade, the MXB-6112 will be much more accurate than its predecessor, the B-61. This bomb will be equipped with a new tail and an inertial guidance system on the bomber. It does not need to drop bombs vertically, but can release bombs from a distance for the bomb to automatically find the target. In addition to the MXB-6112, it also has sufficient penetration to destroy command centers, located deep underground, with high precision and adaptability, to adapt to various mission types. The MXB-6112 becomes the most dangerous weapon in the U.S. nuclear arsenal. In addition to focusing on the development of abundant weapon systems. The reason the United States always has a high-quality workforce, as mentioned earlier, is that they have one of the best military officer training academies on the planet. While people often know Harvard or Stanford as prestigious and long-standing universities, the U.S. Military Academy at West Point is more rigorous. The U.S. Military Academy at West Point is more rigorous, prestigious, and older. Americans often say that graduating from Harvard might lead to unemployment, but graduating from West Point is definitely not going to lead to unemployment. The United States Military Academy, commonly known as, was established by President Thomas Jefferson in 1802 on the Hudson River near New York City. The campus is situated on a spacious area of about 65 square kilometers. It is the oldest and most prestigious military academy in the United States, where notable figures such as Presidents Grant and Eisenhower were trained. It has also produced renowned generals like Patton and MacArthur, as well as many high-ranking leaders around the world. The academy is committed to its mission, developing outstanding cadets in 4 crucial areas: intellectual, physical, military, and ethical. Each year, the Academy admits approximately 1,100 students, male and female, from all states across the United States, representing various races, religions, and cultures. The acceptance rate at West Point is only 9%, meaning that out of every 100 applications received, only 9 candidates are accepted. Of the admitted students, 83% are male and 17% are female. Each year, the Academy dismisses 10% of the cadets, meaning that in the final year, there are fewer than 1,000 graduates. However, it's essential to note that students dismissed from West Point often excel to the extent that even prestigious institutions like Harvard or MIT extend invitations. According to a law passed by Congress in 1903, To become a cadet at the Academy, one must be nominated by at least one senator representing and one authorized representative in the House of Representatives. Currently, each member of Congress and the Vice President can have 5 nominations for the United States Military Academy at any given time. To be admitted to the Academy, applicants must be between the ages of 17 and 23, depending on the entry point, unmarried, without the responsibility of caring for small children, and possess good moral character. The approval process comprises several steps: submitting application documents, undergoing intelligence and physical fitness checks, and receiving a nomination letter from a senator. In addition to having a high school graduation GPA as well as SAT scores, applicants must undergo a comprehensive health examination, including an eye vision test. They must demonstrate a spirit of service and leadership skills, participate in interviews, and submit 3 essays. Approximately 20 foreign candidates to study at the school each year. Countries sending candidates to study here must cover expenses for their students, including those from foreign countries. Their admission criteria must pass exams such as TOEFL, SAT, GMAT, GRE, depending on the level and field. The school's curriculum comprises 42 majors and research fields, all aimed at reinforcing historical perspectives, cultivating cultural understanding, developing military skills, and fostering leadership qualities, with the purpose of training officer candidates. Yet the entire West Point training program is extremely rigorous. West Point's program design ensures that each of their students possesses the physique of a model, the health of an Olympic athlete, the intellect of a scholar, the eloquence of an orator, and the demeanor of a psychological expert. After graduation, students here will receive a Bachelor of Science degree, and most are commissioned as second lieutenants in the U.S. Army. The assignment to various branches is determined by the council members responsible for the institution. Foreign students are assigned to branches of their own country's military. Students will be presented with a symbolic West Point ring and a memento that each student takes pride in. Thanks to the training process, to become a well-rounded individual, West Point not only produces excellent generals for the U.S. military, but also many West Point alumni, after 5 years of mandatory service in the military, have become CEOs, successful politicians in many countries. Despite having a quality team and continuous investment in upgrades, recently, the U.S. military has faced a quite unique problem: a shortage of personnel. Specifically, since 2016, the head of the Pentagon at the time, Mr. Aston Sata, requested a review of recruitment standards to ensure an adequate force for the U.S. military. According to Sata, there is a need to relax recruitment standards such as overweight condition, physical fitness, tattoos, and even past marijuana use. If the U.S. military does not isolate itself from the rest of the population, 6 years later, the situation of recruiting personnel for the military has not improved. In a report dated July 20th, 2022, from the U.S. Army, this country's military has faced its largest recruiting challenge since its establishment. Currently, the rate of U.S. citizens aged 17 to 24 meeting military service standards has decreased from 29% to 23%. The U.S. Army warns this country may face a shortage of 31,000 soldiers by 2023, compared to the initial target of 476,000 people. Another reason causing difficulties in recruitment is the decreasing number of American youths joining the military. According to the Pentagon, young people join the military for 3 main reasons: attractive salaries, free training with good welfare policies. However, there are 3 other reasons that make some young people reluctant to wear the uniform: bear the stars due to fear of injury or death, psychological trauma or harassment, or sexual assault. So the journey to learn about the peculiarities of the U.S. military has come to an end. It can be said that up to now, This is still the strongest military force in the world, both in terms of equipment quality and combat capability. According to you, what is the most impressive point? Please leave your comments below.